Gina, up next. Hi, Gina, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Better than I deserve. Where are you from?
Perfect. I am from Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Cool.
I have a counseling clinic that also has inpatient units, 360 employees, operating budget of about 43 million.
Good for you.
100 of those employees were added in the last year.
Whoa.
So our question is less about recruitment and more about development of staff. So how can we help those in both of the categories that we have? So we have degreed, highly trained counselors, and then also the other 50% are people with lived experience of recovery. How do we develop both of those so that they have more tenacity, grit, and adaptability so that we have more thoroughbreds?
The resilience question. Yeah. How do we turn them into resilient? I don't know that there's a magic formula personally that I can think of. I think it's amazing what people can do when they believe there's a chance. You know, the great movie line, so you're saying there's a chance, right? So Dumb and Dumber, right? So you're saying there's a chance. Burnout usually occurs when I feel like I can't get there. It's amazing how many hours I can work and I'm just tired. I'm not burnt out. But I can work a lot less hours and get, quote, burn out, unquote. And I think that has to do with a hope variable. And if there's a level of hope that what I'm doing is going to get me there, then yeah, I can do it. I can see a finish line over there, then I can find the energy to get that last little bit done. And but you know, I think it's the hopelessness factor. If that kicks in, then it's very difficult to persevere. It's very difficult to sustain. I call it burnout, but really I don't know if it's real burnout or not. I mean, I had one guy come in and say he was burnt out, and I'm like, that's impossible. You were never on fire. So, you know, you know, how do you add grit, Mike?
Well, that's the word you used. And since we're dredging up movie references, the film was True Grit. I love that title because it's a great juxtaposition, right? Grit is this thing that I guess we're free to define it, but when you precede it with a word like true, it really makes you go, well, what is grit? I mean, and are you born with it? And if you're not, how do you get it? And, you know, I think the other point you made is great. You have to know where the finish line is, and you have to have some hope, but many cases, the only way you can believe is to see somebody else do it first. You know, I think about, you know, the guy, Roger Bannister, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Roger Bannister ran a mile in under 4 minutes at a time when really no one believed it was possible. Very few did. And there were actually doctors out in the world saying, if the human body is pushed to the point where it runs a mile in less than 4 minutes, the heart will explode, the lungs will collapse, and something very unpleasant's gonna happen vis-a-vis the lower GI tract, right? I mean, it was an awful, smart doctors were saying your body will shut down if you do this. So Roger Bannister does it. And within a couple of years, 50 other people had done it. We need to see, in many cases, somebody do the thing that we were told can't be done. And look, this is Dirty Jobs 101. The grit in that show wasn't a thing that the people we profiled endured. It was a thing they learned to love. Okay. And that's the trick. I know it's not much of an answer, but it's not enough to be willing to leave your comfort zone. The people I know who have succeeded, whether it's mental health or putting in boilers, they find a way to enthusiastically embrace the worst part of their day. Find a way to look at the food they don't want to eat that somehow got on their plate and eat it first with a smile. I don't know how to encourage that other than to lead by example and show people what it looks like to do it.
Yeah, I think the other thing is the payoff has to be very clear. And so it can be that if all you're looking at is what's in front of you instead of how far you've come, you don't recognize the payoff is there. I mean, when I think about some of the stuff that, right today on one of our podcasts or something, where I have someone asking the same question and we're doing it again, why wouldn't we burn out? Because we've got hundreds of millions now, literally, of people who have done the stuff we teach. And so now I'm looking at this person, I'm going, yeah, you too.
You see this grit, like we said at the very top, when you start to look for it, you'll find it. And I remember in one of the first seasons, it wasn't Dirty Jobs, it was another show I work on called Deadliest Catch, about the crab fishermen up in the Bering Sea. The first year I was up there, it was 2004. Big weather, big waves, unpleasant. It's very hard to be enthusiastic when you're vomiting through your nose, right? On camera. And that's what was happening with me. And at some point, I watched the captain come out of the wheelhouse. It's blowing sideways, probably 30 miles an hour. We're in 15-foot seas. And he starts hauling pots with his men. Now, there's nothing to say in a moment like that. But when you see a leader, and since this is EntreLeadership, it's a point worth making. When you see a captain come right down with a greenhorn and work in the same exact snotty conditions, that leaves a mark in your memory.
Yeah, I mean, the guy on the front of the line in the white horse with the sword held out, he's the first one they shoot at. And so the leader's got to lead. By definition, they got to be out front. Simon Sinek's book, leaders are out front. I mean, it's the same thing. And so, yeah, I think when they observe your grit would be the point, then they're there. So, yeah, it's easy around our place. I don't have any trouble with the work ethic around Ramsey because I have one. And so just keep up with the old man if you can. And if you can do what I do, then you can probably do anything you want to do. But it's not like, well, they can say, well, you're kicking back, Dave, and so why, I don't give them permission. So I don't give them permission to burn out because I'm not burnt out. I don't give them permission to have no grit because I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to, and if there's not a good fight, I'll just go pick one. So. It's just something else to do, right? So, hey, thank you. Really good question.
Thank you very much.
Really good question.